One of the biggest polls at EIBTM every year is the Industry Trends and Market Share Report presented by the show's Chief Analytics Officer, Professor Rob Davidson. Rob, the globe, in particular Europe and the US, are still shrouded in economic uncertainty. How's that affected the industry this year?
Right, well it is that economic turmoil that really has dominated this year. I have to say this has been a year where I've not only rewritten the report, but I've rewritten it because as I was writing it in the autumn, the economic situation changed from day to day. So we see an amazing contrast between data that came out in the first 6 months of the year, very optimistic, spending up, budgets up. The meetings industry, even the incentive travel industry, was in a very buoyant mood. Now, all the data that you look at from the first 6 months, let's say, reflects that. And then, of course, during the summer, while we were all lying on beaches, the situation changed quite radically, particularly in Europe, as everyone knows, problems in the Eurozone, a risk of financial contagion. So what we're seeing towards the end of the year is different data from the economy. The interesting thing, I think, is looking at all the data for this year, even in the second half of the year, there's a lot of optimism around in the meetings and events industry. Forward bookings seem to be healthy. Of course, there are storm clouds on the horizon, but what we don't know is when that will strike, if it strikes. So we're seeing an interesting disconnect between the global economic situation and actually the very resilient optimism of the meetings industry going forward into 2012.
What's the situation in the developing economies?
Well, all of the BRIC countries are still having a party. Well, their growth rates have gone down a bit, but that's going down from 10 to 9% a year. And in Europe, of course, we would love to have those kinds of growth rates instead of the 0.5, maybe 1% growth looking forward to 2012. So you're absolutely right. Those countries are continuing to see a lot of expansion. If you look at the Middle East, for example, vast new investments in meetings industry infrastructure, hotels, convention centres. Very similar situation in China, vast hotel development, conference centres, exhibition centres. So it really has been a year of two halves, and I'm beginning to think we are a planet of two halves because over there in the BRIC countries, particularly China, of course the boom continues. The big story this year, I know I always mention China, but the big one this year is actually Brazil. Just set to take over from the UK as the world's sixth biggest economy. So they're taking over from us, and the predictions are that by 2020 they will even overtake Germany. This is Brazil, remember. They'll even overtake Germany as the world's fifth largest economy. Now it's very interesting to note that a lot of that expansion has been because of China and all the trade that they're doing with China. With China's great expansion and their booming economy, they're hungry for commodities, iron, everything you can mention. And Brazil is of course rich in natural commodities. So we're seeing a lot of interesting trade corridors developing between China and Brazil, China and Africa, where they have incredibly high investments. Now, what I'll be looking at for the next 12 months is the extent to which meetings follow those trade corridors, because it makes sense for people to have meetings where they're doing business. And sadly, perhaps for Europe, the Chinese are doing much more business in those other developing countries than they are with us and our staggering, struggling economy.
If you had any advice for planners, organisers within Europe and the US, what would it be for the year going forward?
People in Europe holding meetings and events, my strong advice is let's position ourselves very strongly as part of the solution. I'm tired of people saying meetings, training, it's expendable. When business is tough, it's the first thing that we stop. That is such a false economy. So I think in the future, the coming 12 months, we need to make a conscious decision as an industry in Europe, and I think also in North America, that we're not part of the problem problem, we can be part of the solution, and that live business events are a very effective way of keeping your customers close to you. If business is slack at the moment, this is the ideal time to go and train your staff. A great example of that is 2 weeks ago at the University of Greenwich, where I work, we had a one-day course, how to win more events for your venue. We had 25 London venues there, taking a time out of work to invest in their own training. Now, I think we need to see much more of that going ahead. We need to practice what we preach, because we want our clients, companies, to train their staff. That brings us business. So let's see a lot more of the meetings industry itself topping up its skills, updating its knowledge. I'd like to see that very much.
With respect to the developing nations and the BRIC economies, what's your message for organisers in those areas?
Well, planners out there, I would say to them, look around and see what's being done over here. If there's one great thing about the meetings and events in the industry in Europe, it's our long history of organising these events. Now, the Chinese, for example, are amazing at constructing these convention centres. My advice to them, it comes right back to training, gaining expertise, is look around for best examples elsewhere in the world, in the developed world, in the United States, over here in Europe. Look at how to manage these venues, look at how to market them, and how to work with meeting planners. I know that in my university, like in every university in England, we get Chinese students every year coming over here, studying conference, planning and going back. They walk into jobs like that because that's a commodity that's in short supply. So the Chinese need to be slightly modest, look over here and say, okay, what skills can we learn from these people? When they do that, the combination of those skills and the infrastructure they have, that's going to be dynamite.
Rob, fascinating as ever. Thanks very much for talking to us.